I'm having fun looking at Connor's pecs and his arm muscles and
Which,
all
by the way,
that.
he really is in shape.
He always has been.
He's always been in shape, but I looked at him, I was like, you're even stronger than you were last time I saw you.
Yeah, a little summertime. He's got to go to the beach and take his shirt off. Oh, yeah, that's right. He's back here to distract us all once again. His pecs are out. Now his arms are out. It's even more this time around. And he's wearing a black shirt like me, so he's looking cool. What up, everybody? Preseason in the books. It's done. Simms Unbuttoned. We are on a Monday afternoon, August 26th. It's time for real football. But we had a good last weekend. It really was. And got to see a decent amount of starters. I do feel like preseason this year we saw more starters maybe than in years past sprinkled in. And it's maybe catching on. We'll see where that goes. I talked about, I think it's the Kansas City Chiefs effect. But nonetheless, always good to have you in here, Mr. Peckmaster. Okay, Mr. Peck Deck over here. What's up, everybody? Connor Rogers here to host the show with us. Ahmed Freed busy doing everything for NBC Sports. So when he's not here, we got to go to the Connor.
Dude, great to be here, and it's amazing. He arrives back from Paris, and I feel like he just is even busier
nonstop
somehow.
Yeah,
it's like I get to see him on a drive-by for 3 seconds.
Right.
He is truly the busiest man here.
I think he is the busiest guy here. I've never heard him say no in his life, so it's
with
just,
a smile.
Yeah, right. He's never flustered.
No.
He never seems really overworked. I've never seen him in a bad mood. He said a swear once in his life, and it slipped out here on the podcast.
It was only here.
Only here. I mean,
you rub off on people. You notice I'm slowly morphing into you. Just no top button.
Yeah, but we'll get you
the
there.
more pods I do, I'm just slowly morphing into you,
good,
which is great.
Good. You doing all right, man?
Dude, everything's great. I'm glad the preseason's over because I'm dying for some real football. As much I do like the preseason more than most people because it's all the draft guys.
Yeah, right.
We watch.
So you get to evaluate.
You can see the day
stuff.
3 guys, the UDFAs. I find a lot of fun in that.
I do too.
But now it's at the point where you want the adrenaline firing a little bit more.
Yeah, well, you're ready for the next phase. You're like, okay, I mean, I've seen cover 2 the whole
that's another
preseason.
issue. Right.
I've seen this basic offensive play. Can we get so you're starting to thirst for more. But I do enjoy preseason. I love sitting on the couch. I text my wife all my notes. I sit there and I like it for what you do. Hey, younger players, what's the improvement I see? Did they get better? No, maybe they got worse, right? The guys we talk about in the draft. Wait, does it look like I thought it looked like in college? How is it translating? All of that. So yeah, there's great value to be learned. And yeah, you can get some inklings on certain things. I think through how they're playing guys and where they're playing, and that lets you know how teams are valuing that guy. So that's what you get out of it. But yeah, now we're getting into the real stuff.
What I like the best sometimes is too when teams don't want to do something and then a player kind of forces their hand.
Yeah.
They just simply dominate throughout the preseason or look better than the guy in front of them.
Sure.
That you knew the coaches wanted nothing to do with that scenario, but they've been forced into it. And we're going to do a preseason week 3 recap today. Better, worse, or the same. And it almost starts a little bit with that, right? Where you look at the Patriots right now, when you ask that fan base, do you feel better, worse, or the same? And here's a great one to open up with. As we see, the theme of the show, it's better, worse, or the same. Do you think your team, do you feel better or worse, basically from July and on? When camp opens, now you've seen 3 games.
Right.
You've seen a little bit of your starters. You've seen a little bit of young players. This one from NFL History Made. Better about the Patriots because we have Drake May, and that's kind of what I was alluding to. And it's a shame Jacoby Brissett got banged up. We don't have an update on that. You don't want to see a guy hurt.
Right.
But May's gotten better over this summer. But this is the key part from NFL History Made. Worse because I've never seen an offensive line so poor all around. Onwenu, 50 pounds, too heavy to play tackle. Overall, looking forward to getting Drake a wide receiver and a tackle first overall.
Yeah, I think so. When we go into this one here, and if we have to play better, worse, or same, where I would go, if we had to just go to Drake May, I'd go, it's better.
Right.
It's better than what I thought. We saw
Mechanically,
improvement.
by the way?
Mechanically,
Okay.
definitely. Right? Especially even from preseason game 1 to what we saw last night, or even preseason game 2 to what we saw last night, I saw improvements. And I'll dive into that. But I think I'm a little bit with our NFL History Made a little in his overall thought with the Patriots. I'll say maybe I think it looks a little worse, or it is worse. You lost Matthew Judon too and traded him away.
It's a big piece.
Right? So he's maybe your one big blue chip type of player on the front 7. Nobody has emerged as a go-to guy at receiver. And then at NFL History Made's point of the offensive line is definitely concerned. And what he says about Onwenu is real too. Onwenu is made for guard. He's a guard. The problem is they're so bad on their O-line, he's their best tackle too. Yeah. So they have to play him a tackle because it's a more valuable position, and they have nobody to fill in that void. So I feel the same way as our listener here. I do think as of the Patriots overall, maybe it's a little worse than I expected, right? And then they are a rebuild team. We know that and all of that. But the Drake May thing, hey, there's a light at the end of the tunnel or a silver lining, certainly. And I think you can certainly say that's better, at least for me, and the way I felt at the start of training camp compared to, again, what I saw last night.
And some things are out of their hands, right, Chris, where you feel worse about the defense. In their hands, they traded Judon. They didn't want to pay him. They were done with that situation. That's in their hands. Out of their hands, Christian Barmore having a blood clot issue. I mean, you want to talk about another blue chipper up front.
He's the next guy.
We're not going to have a lot of clarity on that situation because we know severe blood clot. They've cost guys seasons.
Right.
Maybe he can come back halfway through. We just don't know.
No.
And now you're expecting huge jumps. And I think these guys can make a jump. Keon White can make a big jump.
Sure.
Christian Gonzalez, he only played a couple games last year. He looked awesome in those games.
Right.
But like you said, there's just a lot of holes on this roster right now that the solution is off seasons, not just finding guys and expecting them to be miracle makers.
No, this is going to take a little bit. I definitely think it's arguably one of the worst rosters in football. It's in that conversation, and I don't mean that as disrespect. And I know they didn't expect to be the best roster anyways. They're willing to take a step back to take 2 steps forward going forward here. I think that's what they're looking at, right? When we break down the Drake May thing, should he start? Should he not start? Right? Just to dive into that a little bit here. I don't think he should, but last night makes me feel better if he has to and they're not comfortable with Jacoby Brissett's shoulder early on in the year. Mechanically, he was better last night. The motion wasn't segmented. If you watch the first 2 games, he has a little bit of he pulls the ball back and then he pauses and then he restarts the motion. Like 9 out of 10 throws. I've never seen a quarterback do that ever. That's successful, right? That's Tim Tebow-ish stuff or stuff like that where you just go, wait, that doesn't look nice, natural, fluid, right? But he still has work to do, in my opinion. You even saw last night, again, that was against 3rd and 4th stringers, and he did good, and he made some great throws, and he was better in the pocket. But I still think, he's a raw football player. And what I say was, hey, last night we saw some potential, and you see he's an athlete, and you can see the ball pop out of his hands. But at the same time, and I know I'm a guy that always says, hey, let's play them. Let's get them out there. They need to start. They need to get ready. But that doesn't hold true for everybody. Just because I believe that doesn't mean I think that through and through. This is one where I look at and go, hey, wait, this is a guy that does have talent. He needs some work. We've dissected it a ton. And then I go, do you really want to throw him out there anyways with your team right now? That's my
concern.
Right? In Cincinnati to start the week 1, who's on a mission to win the Super Bowl this year?
Division's not easy, by the way.
Anarumo? Yeah. The training wheels will be off. It's not going to be like, cover 2 every play or cover. It's going to be like, there's going to be 3 different defenses before he says set hut in the regular season. I said this to Florio today. Rookie quarterbacks have had it basic and easy so far. Now it's going to be like, preseason football was blue 48. Oh, it's Tampa 2. Cool. Blue 48 set hut, right? Now it's going to be blue 48. Oh, it's Tampa 2. Blue. Oh shit, it's cover 3. Blue set hut, and he's going to turn around and go, oh no, it's cover 6. It went to cover 2, to cover 3, to cover 6, right? All in a 7-second span, and it's all going to change. So that's what they're going to have to get used to. And those are things Drake May is not great at. And then you look at that schedule right there.
Look at those first 4 games, Chris. Bengals, Seahawks, at Jets, at 49ers.
Continue it on. Go to 8.
Yeah. Dolphins, Texans, Jaguars. Oh, you get the Jets again.
I know. I mean, so they got, to me, with the way their team is at, I like his progress. Certainly, I have my questions. I wouldn't want to throw him out there yet because I don't think he's ready. But then I will compound that with, I don't think the team is ready enough to support him. And the offensive line, as we saw, is definitely an issue with them. And, I would feel better with the Drake May situation. Let's give him a few more weeks. Let's not put the pressure on him. Let's let him have a little more time to develop. And, hey, and then hopefully in that time, we can get a little run game. We can find a receiver that we know, we can do this with that, and we can figure out what we are. So now that when we do put him in, we're not trying to figure out the formula on the run.
Maybe get Jalen Polk up to speed.
Exactly.
Right?
Get everybody. Talent. Hey, we got the O-line situated. We finally got the 5 guys in the right spots. Now we feel better about that. Hey, now we feel like Drake May can go out there and show us a little bit instead of being like, I have no time. Who do I throw to?
Yeah.
Who's our go-to guy? Who's going to help me out ever? And that's tough as any quarterback, let alone a rookie who's who's raw.
I think that the conundrum with May is probably the owner and the fans want something to be excited about this season, and watching him play is exciting. I think the other problem is, and this is a big one right here, what did we spend all draft season doing? We said he played behind a horrible offensive line at UNC, and he developed bad habits, and he took a lot of hits, and he wasn't the same runner last year that he was the year before. What if those things just all repeat the cycle the first 8 weeks of the season here in the pros? Like, that's not what you want with your investment at the 3rd overall pick. So that's a fine line to walk for everybody involved.
I think so. I think you do that and you throw him out there like you're talking about and do all that too. It's not going to give him a chance to maybe staple or stamp home some of these technical issues that he's fixing. You get out there in week 1, he's just going to be in survival mode.
Yeah, you got to be an athlete.
So then he might, some of the things I've worked on with my throwing motion, that's out the window because I'm just trying to survive and make the game. I was thinking about footwork, but I'm not a machine with it yet, and now I'm out here live bullets, and no, the hell with my feet. I'm just trying to survive, right? So those are the things I think they need to protect him from to a degree. Agree with you. They're saying the right things, and they need to. And then, of course, they're protecting themselves because the first 2 picks in front of them and Bo Nix have looked phenomenal, right? And I think that puts more pressure on it, and the fan base wants more because of that too. They're going, look at Caleb Williams, look at Jaden Daniels, look at Bo Nix. They're all awesome. They're starting.
Yeah.
Our guy's the 3rd pick. Why wouldn't he be starting too?
McCarthy was great before he got hurt.
McCarthy looked really damn good. So there's that wanting there, and I'm sure the organization wants that too, but hey, it's a long race, as we know. Don't rush it out and ruin it all here early on in his career just to prove a point to the draft pundits or the fan base, right?
Well, let's go right there with the Commanders. Yeah. Better, worse, or the same? I mean, it was awesome watching Jaden Daniels this summer.
That's
How
easy.
can you not feel better?
It's better. Exactly right. It's better. Do I feel like they're a world-beating team? No, not necessarily, but he's a natural. He fits. How do you not feel better with him at the helm? We saw easy, quick decision-making, accurate throwing, flawless fluid motion, and then he hasn't even broken out the running. I mean, we've seen a little splash of the running, and you just go, ooh, that's going to be scary dealing with that. But yeah, I feel better about the Commanders. And then, Dan Quinn's going to install psychos running around being physical on defense, right? Even though I don't think they're terribly talented on that side of the ball. Their O-line is definitely questionable to me, right? But got some weapons at receiver. They're going to spread the ball out. And, yeah, I definitely feel better about the Commanders, just like you.
I think the great part, and this is what matters the most, is that Jaden Daniels has looked as advertised this summer. I think what stinks if you're a Commanders fan, and this is out of your coaching staff's control and all the new people there, not a good second camp for Emmanuel Forbes, and how the Jahan Dotson situation ended.
Right.
Where you're trying to get something out of guys from a previous regime. And, I mean, Forbes has time, but it hasn't looked good. And the Dotson situation just unraveled so quickly.
No, and it sounds like De'Ami Brown's had a pretty good thing there, too, where they've kind of been like, okay, we don't need him. But, yeah, it unraveled. Yeah, listen, I'm not going to sit here and I was never a huge fan of any of those picks, honestly. Yeah. I like Dotson. I wasn't in love with him. Forbes
was insane, in my opinion.
That
was an insane pick in the first round. Yeah,
it was insane.
Insane.
Forbes, to me, I had a lot of arguments with coaches in the NFL even about this. I was like, the only thing he does good is run straight. I don't know what else do you want about. Like, I know he's played pretty tough for his size, but he had no change of direction skills, no ability to move and show loose hips in and out of transition. And for a team that like Dan Quinn, where he's going, I like to play man-to-man, I'm going, well, this ain't your guy.
Right.
He'd be great in a cover 3 press bail old Seattle thing.
He's like, I didn't take him.
Right. But this is not what Dan does anymore.
Right.
And, so there's some questions there as an overall team. But they're building something, too. We don't expect them to be world beaters.
No, and it's exciting. Watching Jaden Daniels this season is going to be really exciting.
Definitely.
How about the Colts? I know you've had eyes on Anthony Richardson very closely. This one, I know that you said he played starters early on defense. Anthony Richardson looked great early. The motion is tight and has control of the ball. But the more he throws, this is what I want to ask you about. The more he throws, the more the flaws show. Is Richardson a specimen or a quarterback? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, well, because I'm sitting on the couch. I text my wife all this stuff, and then I pass it along to Pete.
Oh, I got the notes.
But, yeah, good.
It was fun.
Good. No, I'm good. So I'm going to say with the Colts, I feel the same. I got to see a little bit more, right? Was there some positive things there? Yes, definitely. Did he look good on that first drive? Absolutely. So I like all that. But also within that, hey, it's a little bit like, hey, they got a lot of chances to go over these plays, right? It's the first drive. They were prepared. He was prepared for, all the fail-safe problems and things, he could talk about that with Shane Steichen before the game. Hey, here's our first 15, right? Hey, play 7. Hey, you get this coverage, think this guy. You get this coverage, think this guy. You get a blitz. Hey, we want you to get the ball right here and do all that. So he looked good doing all that. I understand that. But there's still throws and a type of throw that he's just not consistently good at yet, I guess is what I would argue. He throwing a touch ball over the middle. He was trying to throw like a crossing route. He doesn't know how to do it. He kind of fades away and tries to just like throw a dart up there instead of like, no, there's a technique to doing that throw and how you do that and still make that look like a normal throwing motion. And then, of course, the interception itself was a little troubling. I mean, again, you can't just throw balls blind. I know he might have said, I thought the guy was going to turn in and he should have turned out or whatever. The throw was still way off target, and you never can just throw that route blind that way. So, I like some of what I saw, but I still have questions. There's no doubt about that.
This is another one on the Colts from Carl Phillips. One of my favorite first-round picks was Laiatu Latu. What have you made of his progress? Does the rest of the Colts defensive line have enough for Latu to become a difference maker?
Yeah, I like Latu a lot. We talked about this a little last week. Looks natural. I mean, right off the bat. I think there's enough there. I do. Now, they need somebody else, right? We know DeForest Buckner's a force, and hopefully Latu can go along with that. But as you and I both know, any good defense for the most part has more than that. You got to have somebody. Can Kwity Paye really show up as a consistent nuance or a pain in the ass this year? It sucks that they lost Samson Ekimon to injury, right? Because just depth. He's a good physical football player, can do it all. Can our man from Northwestern pop, right? Tomiwa
Adebawore.
Yeah, I'll let you say it. Yeah. Exactly right. Can he show up? I do think they need another guy. Right, a little bit, because, I'm not sold on Grover Stewart or Kwity Paye being mismatched nightmares yet. I got to see that to believe that again. So I think that's a fair question, and certainly something I'll be watching with the Colts.
Yeah, it was good to see Latu have the sack against the Bengals in the final game because, kind of his signature move, somebody that he's going to have a good year for them. But like you said, you don't want that situation where a guy's walking in and he's what the offense is focusing on in the blocking right away.
Oh, yeah, all the time, right. But, yes, he's perfect, great defense, and he's a great all-around football player. And we've seen, and even though he hasn't played a lot, he's a natural pass rusher.
How about the Bears, better, worse, or the same? And before we go to the real big topics, something that stuck out in your notes. Tyson Bagent is very impressive. He has a lot of starter qualities. At the worst, he is a top backup. Was straight out of your notebook.
Yeah, straight out of my. I mean, I was impressed with Tyson Bagent last year, right? What we saw in the regular season, coming in as a tough situation as a rookie. He physically has the ability. There's no doubt about that, and he can play quarterback. I mean, he knows how to play the position. He's not a guy that just has a big arm and is fast and whatever else. He showed me enough to, knows where to go with the ball. He's got a few different arm angles, can extend a play, can stand in the pocket and play tough that way. So, I know he's not starting quarterback caliber quite yet, but he's one of those guys that he, gets in the right spot. Caleb Williams does get hurt maybe for a few games, or maybe it takes another year of him killing it in preseason. He might get a chance down the road to be a starter somewhere. But, I do like Tyson Bagent, and I think they got a very good backup there in Chicago with him.
Bagent, a record-setting quarterback for the Shepherd Rams.
I know.
That's a big jump to the NFL. But he got the Senior Bowl invite. He didn't get drafted, and he's making the most of it with the Bears.
Definitely.
This one from Chad Clark, 321. Bears seem like a one-way Starlink rocket ship right now, but with a rookie quarterback and both fronts not yet elite. People have to be happy with 8 to 9 wins. I hope they get into the playoffs. And SF Monk said, Bears better. The O has been having a hard time in practice and then looks good against other teams. Positive sign for both the offense and the defense.
Yes. Well, first off, the Bears are not like, we're gonna play for success and make our offense look good in practice. They got a defensive head coach. They don't care. Yeah. So they make it hard. They make it look ugly, right? I think actually in one of the hard knocks, Caleb says, he goes, man, the practice is harder than the game, right? So, and they got talent on that side of the ball. We know that. I think the big thing with the Bears, and I'm a huge fan of Caleb. I'm a fan of their team and what they are. I was a fan last year. Towards the end of the year. I mean, I was picking the Bears every week and, was riding them big time. But I like their talent on defense. through and through. I like their linebackers. I like their secondary, right? I know we have maybe the one question about one more pass rusher. Austin Booker, as we talked about in week 1, looked great. He still looks the part. I know they're looking for another guy still.
They were in on Judon, right?
They were in on Judon. Yeah. They just didn't give up quite enough, right? DeMarcus Walker, their other defense end, is not a bad player. He's a good player. He's just not a great pass rusher. He's not that guy. O-line, not elite, but I think better than people want to give it credit for. Yeah, I just think there's a lot of potential here. And then it is about this quarterback. It's just, yes, can he handle the regular season? All that's going to be on him. Can he make a few plays every now and then to get the offense, over the hump? And then what I loved in the Cincinnati game, and I've talked about it a few times, is just, hey, when things are ugly, will he be able to play ugly, right? Or is he going to be like, wait, I'm Caleb Williams. I won the Heisman. I'm making highlights. I'm about to do a 360 cartwheel behind the back bomb throw, right? I mean, so will he be able to play like, hey, this is an ugly NFC North day. We're playing it's a defensive struggle against the Lions. Will he be willing to go, we might have to win 13-10 today, right? The wind's 40 miles per hour. Those are the things we question about the Bears. They're going to be mature enough to win those type of football games.
Yeah, the NFC North,
right.
Real ugly battles.
You could be, can he handle that and do the things the right way in certain games that are maybe not as high-flying, wide open? We know he's going to be good in that when it's a pass fest and 7-on-7. But, yeah, they're up in Green Bay or whatever else, and it's a defensive slugfest. Can he hang in there in those type of games and, not become impatient and try to make the big play to win it, right?
For whatever it's worth, the public and the books are in on the Bears making the playoffs. DraftKings right now has them -110 to make the playoffs. It's not a big value bet there.
It's crazy. It's that kind of slam dunk for them now.
The division just feels so not wide open because the Lions deserve their praise and the Packers deserve their praise.
They do.
And the Vikings maybe take a step back as they're in a weird retooling spot, especially without McCarthy.
Yeah.
But it feels like you could pick any team to win that division, and nobody would have the right to call you insane.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, I'm going to pick the Lions to win the division, I think. But
they've been building for this.
Yeah, but the Packers, it's going to be one of those where I feel like I'm going to pick the Lions to win the division, and the Packers might have the same record in the division, but the Lions win the tiebreaker, right? It's something like that. I am one that I've been saying it all offseason. I mean, I'm definitely thinking about putting the Bears in the playoffs. I like what they got going there. I think the pressure on the coaching staff and Eberflus will add to that. So we'll see. We'll see. But there's a lot about their team I like, and I think Caleb Williams can certainly open up some eyes.
And a perspective with these rookie quarterbacks, C.J. Stroud had the best rookie quarterback season ever last year. He had 0 touchdowns in a blowout loss week 1 to the Ravens.
There you go.
So you got to let it marinate.
Let him
for
marinate.
a little bit.
Exactly right. Exactly right. I mean, again, to think that he can do that was a special year last year. There's no doubt about that. I mean, listen, I said on Sun Football Night in America in like week 9, right? I was like, C.J. Stroud's having the best rookie year we've ever seen. And that was kind of when I said it, people were like, you're crazy for saying that, right? And it ended up working out and being right.
It went wild the rest of the year.
But that's, those are bold things, and we know that. And last year was special. So to think they can replicate that, that's going to be hard, but there's pieces in the formula where I go, if there's one team with a rookie quarterback that can do the Houston Texans things, it is the Bears.
Let's look at the Bengals, better, worse, or the same. I'm going to need some deciphering for you on the notebook here. Chase looks great, in shape. Herb Street rotting company lines on Chase and Bengals. Geno Stone, Von Bell, gangster safety change on
yes,
D.
Yes, sorry.
This is one of my favorite nuggets in the notebook.
I think I meant I think this is where I was typing too fast. Herb Street toting company
lines. That's what
lines,
I knew that was a typo, but I do like Herb Street rotting company lines.
Right. Well, I just, he was talking about the Jamar Chase situation. He was, you could tell he had talked to the Bengals, and the Bengals were, it's only his 4th year of his contract, and we have the 5th year option. And it was like stuff like that where you're like, oh, somebody in the Bengals got in his ear and told him all these things to say. A little bit, same thing with Anthony Richardson. You could tell somebody is like, hey, he's got the tools, but he's not consistent playing quarterback. Herb Street said that a lot. He's not just throwing that out there. Somebody clued him in on that and the worries of the Colts from the Colts organization. But, yeah, Chase does look great, right? I mean, I've been around Jamar Chase a few times in my life. I, of course, studied him hard and all that. Like, when I see him in street clothes, I go, man, he actually looks like thinner and tighter than I feel like I've ever seen him. They need him. It's ridiculous they haven't figured this situation out. In my opinion, they're ready to win the Super Bowl this year. Why are they around with this right here. Like, this could be the thing that ends up not winning the Super Bowl. Oh, we lost to Kansas City in week 2 because, Jamar wasn't up to speed yet because he hasn't done anything. And now we lose the tiebreaker to Kansas City, and we're going there in the AFC Championship game. And it's 4 degrees, and we lose now. Damn it. That's why I just don't know why they're messing with that, okay? I'm perplexed by the Jamar Chase situation overall. Then the Geno Stone Von Bell thing, right?
I'm laughing at Pete put a note in here.
I'm still up the lines, even though
Pete said that it was a Simmsism.
Yes.
Chris said toting the company line. It's towing.
Yes, it is.
I think I do the same thing.
That is
I didn't correct you.
I was like,
it's
toting the company line.
That's good.
I know. I have that happen, but I do like that. Safety play was a problem for the Bengals last year. And then with Lou Anarumo's defense, it's very complex. They have a lot of checks. And, if it's, 3 receivers over here, we're playing this coverage. But if they go over here, we're going to do a totally different coverage and blitz, right? So you need some safeties there that can really orchestrate the traffic. They didn't have that last year, let alone these two. They got an attitude about them. I mean, Geno Stone, Von Bell. You're watching those guys.
They throw their weight around.
They throw their weight around. I think it's going to help their team out a lot.
The Jaguars, one of the more interesting teams to me in the entire AFC.
Yeah.
Better, worse, or the same. Here's your notes on them. I love what the Jags are doing, playing starters in the 3rd game. What should be done? Etienne looks a little slow. Trevor Lawrence looked great. Everyone got a touch for the Jags offense. Good vibes going into the 1st game. Parker Washington looks legit. Josh Allen for the Jags, unreal looking. Ooh. Parker Washington, for people that don't know, former Penn State small, shiftier slot receiver, kind of an afterthought in his draft class.
He was a
good player for Penn State.
It was always crazy to me.
Yeah.
I was always like, wait, I mean, it's Penn State, so they suck at throwing. You're like, what if you put this guy? You'd be like, again, like I'd go, you put this guy at Ohio State or one of these other teams that could throw the ball in Washington or whatever it might be. You go, oh my gosh, this guy's an unbelievable player. We got to take him in the top 45 or 50 picks. I mean, I really like Parker Washington's game. I mean, you look at him and I just go, you tell me, what's the difference between him and Christian Kirk? I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
that might be a decision for them not too far down the road from now.
That's what I was thinking. I'm going, I don't know if I'd rather have Parker Washington or Christian Kirk. I'm not sure, and especially when you take the price tag into in account there. First off, with the Bengals, it's better. I don't think I said same, better, or worse, but it's better. The Jaguars, better. I feel better about the Jaguars. I'm a believer in playing players in the preseason right now. With the way the rules are, right? You can't hit, you can't tackle, you can only wear full pads so many times in practice. Like, these are the few opportunities you have a chance to really practice real football, right? And they're a team that I think needs it. They're a young team. We saw them lose their way last year, the second half of the year. You wash out the bad taste, the bad vibes in your mouth, right? Get some positive things going. And I'm a believer in this, right? Like, I do believe, and this is something like with Arthur Smith and the Steelers I was going to jump on a little bit, and he did it this week. Like, at some point, you got to help your offense out a little bit. I know it's the preseason. We don't want a game plan. But if it's like, whoa, week 1 was shit, right? Week 2, you got to do something to kind of change it around. You can't just yell and go play harder and do this, right? It's like, give something to be a jump-off spot to create this positive momentum. And that's what I liked about the Jags. The Jags, I feel like, did that not only the other night. It was like they went in the game. They were like, we're going to get all our important people the ball once early in the game so they can go into week 1 and go, I feel great. I'm playing great. I'm ready to go. I love that. And then the defense playing too. They got a good look. I know everyone's penciling in the Texans to win the South. I'm just saying the Jags are going to have a say in this. I think they're talented. I like their look. And I think they're, another team that knows it's a big year and Trevor Lawrence is ready to make a big jump.
Yeah, you had even more notes on them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Josh Allen for the Jags, unreal looking, like body is unreal.
Oh, like he's as jacked as I've ever seen him.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that he got paid and it just took things to the next level rather than the other way around.
Because he's true professional, great human being. So I'm not surprised by that. He was like, wait, you invest in me? I'll go crazy hard for you now. And I really respect that about Josh Allen.
14, Elijah Cooks for Jags is real. Mac Jones, again, looks great. Fits the offense. I love Jags' approach. The defensive starters, whole first half, wow. Jags better be ready. First 4 games are fucking legit.
I'm sure that's part of why they're doing it, right? I mean, Miami, Browns, Buffalo, Houston.
Yeah, it's go time out.
You better exactly right.
No September preseason.
Your D better be ready because what do you think Mike McDaniels has been sitting back going, no, we're going to run ISO right week 1. It's going to be, ISO right with 7 fake reverses.
And Mike McDaniel.
Did he hand the ball or give him so you better be ready to go. So that's why I love that aspect. And then Cleveland week 2 with that defense and those guys. So I think they understand not only the importance of the year, the schedule, I do think, has to play a part in what you're thinking of there. And I think Miami, Jacksonville is going to be one of those. There's a handful of games that I'm pumped to see in week 1 where I go, wait, this team played not at all in the preseason or very little. This team played a pretty good amount. What is that going to translate to on a Sunday afternoon? I'm just telling you right now, any team that played their players in the preseason that's playing a team that didn't play them, I will be favoring most likely that team. There might be a matchup here and there.
It's a good trend to track.
But I think that's I'm interested to see how that works. But I do like the Jags look. Trevor Lawrence, his motion is smoother too. He could be one of those guys a little bit that, he'll throw it nice, and then there's a guy 7 yards over the middle, and he'll give it the old steroid jerk and be like, huh! Yeah. And you'll be like, what are you throwing that ball that hard for? He threw it like he was on the other end of the stadium.
Is that just adrenaline in the situation?
I think it is, or he's trying to be really quick with the ball. He looks like he smoothed that out. So that was good. Mac Jones is made for the West Coast offense, right? He was in an offense that Brady was in where it was just, hey, stand back there and make a big power throw. Mac Jones is not that guy. Mac Jones is a West Coast, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, first hitch I go here. Second hitch I go there. Right. Third hitch I go there. That, I think, fits him. He's a timing rhythm type of thrower, so I did like that. And the last thing I'll hit on out of there was Elijah Cooks, big receiver. Damn, he just, he popped to me. I'm not going to say I sit here and studied him all preseason, but just what I saw the other night, I was like, oh, man, he's got a chance someday to be something for this football team.
They're deep at pass catcher.
Yes,
right
they
now.
are,
I mean,
right?
especially Evan Ingram is a hybrid tight end, so he counts in that group as well. And, their fans, CeCe Gomez makes a really good point specifically here. My Jags seem to have resurrected the Mac attack. If he is okay and one of these other teams loses a quarterback, the trade potential.
Well, I hear that, but you don't want to do that. Okay.
Trevor Lawrence had 7 different injuries.
Exactly.
Last year.
Until wait, we have all right. If you're going to keep all 3 and you go, wait, CJ Beathard's fine. We're happy with him being our backup, right? And we think he can handle the workload if Trevor's out for 2 or 3 games. Then then Mac Jones could become a nice pawn. But if you're not sure about CJ Beathard and you think your team is really good, which I think they are, and they could sneak up on some people, you don't throw away the Super Bowl just to we got Mac Jones and we can trade him away, right?
For a 4th round pick.
For a 4th round pick, right. And go, well, damn, now, we didn't feel that good about CJ Beathard, and now we went 0-4 in the stretch he played, and now we're we might not make the playoffs. That is not worth it. So that's where they got to figure that aspect out.
All right, the Falcons better or worse are the same. So the Jaguars was a definite better. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I'm feeling good about the Jags and what they look like for sure.
For the Falcons, you had Atlanta's offensive line is impressive. Simmons, Bates, cerebral safeties, ACC combo man Parker Washington, Bucks playing their starters on offense. Atlanta D playing tough. It's the 2, but the defense. It's the 2s, but the defensive culture is showing.
Yeah. What I meant by that is Raheem. I know how he coaches. I was with him in Tampa Bay. It's you could see they're flying around and physical, and
that's what they've been missing.
It's a different look from what they have. And not that they weren't not physical, but now it's renegade-ish physical, right. Where I'm like, oh my gosh, does anybody have a regard for their body on their football team, right? I think that's what it looks like. Offensive line, I was just really impressed. First off, we know their starting O-line is really good. What I was impressed with is their backup O-line held up okay against the Jags. And the Jags brought some crazy blitzes a few times and they picked it up. So that's what I was kind of referring to in that. I was going, damn, for, backups in preseason game 3 getting these type of blitzes and they picked them up seamlessly, right? And then I got into the what did I want to get into? Oh, yeah, the safeties of Atlanta. I mean, I think that's going to be a big deal for them. I do. I just think that when I look at those 2 with Raheem Morris, his defense, he likes to play a lot of zones for the most part. they do a lot there. And to have two guys that are very smart, understand offenses and all that, I think it's going to go a long way for their football team. I like Atlanta a lot. I like their team. I like their roster. I love the coaches. I don't like that they didn't play guys in the preseason. I don't like that. But we'll see how that goes. There's going to be another game. Steelers played their guys all preseason. Atlanta didn't. They're facing off week 1. And it's Tomlin and Raheem and Arthur Smith going back. I mean, so there's a lot of cool storylines in that matchup there. Yeah.
Atlanta adding Simms and Judon, it's obviously amazing to have that talent.
Yeah.
But does it say bad things about the rest of their defense that they had to add those guys so late?
I don't think it does. I think that I think we all had the question of kind of going into the year, at least I did, of like, who can be a real pass rusher on their football team?
It's the thing with them every year.
Right.
Every year. Now the answer's definitively Matthew Judon.
It definitely is, right? And I think Raheem probably was going, hey, let me get in here and see these guys. I'm not trying to, let me see. And I'm going to have a few blitzes, and I'm creative that way, so maybe we don't need this pass rusher. But I'm sure as they went on through OTAs and then they got into training camp, they went, we need somebody else.
Right, because they were young guys they need to evaluate, like Arnold Katie, D'Angelo Malone.
Yes.
They didn't know what they had in those guys
exactly
yet.
right. They don't know. We know they're good players and they belong, but yeah, are they starters? Are they backups?
Who's the alpha pass rusher?
Exactly right. Yeah. So I don't think it says anything bad. I think it just says, hey, they evaluated their team and they knew they needed that. And I don't think there's any problem with the Simmons thing either, because I don't think they were like killed at safety. I just think they went, but this guy's an
strength
upgrade.
To strength?
He's an upgrade, right?
Yeah.
So let's do that. And they moved on with that. And yeah, I like that. And I just think this gives them flexibility too. Now you maybe don't have to blitz as much because Judon can get some pressure, right? They got A.J. Terrell, who I think is a damn good corner on the outside. They will be the type of team that goes like, you play man, we'll play zone with everybody else. Raheem will do some of that stuff. So I feel better about Atlanta. Some weird things, don't get me wrong. Quarterback situation. Yeah. I wish they played guys.
Not playing Penix.
Yeah, right. All of that, right? But I do feel better. I think their team is good, and I'm a big fan of Raheem Morris, and I know the energy he can bring to a football team. I'm expecting Atlanta to be, in that playoff combo.
So better for Atlanta?
Better for sure. Better.
A lot to unpack with the Steelers right now. So let's jump right into it.
All right, cool.
This is from your notes. Russell Wilson, great corner throw to Pickens. Steelers got to manufacture some offense, get some positive vibes. The Steelers playing starters on both sides. Totally opposite of the Falcons. 51, Nick Herbig, the linebacker, is a really good player.
Every week I watch him, and I just go, that. He's a starter on almost every team in football except the Steelers.
Nobody cared about him in the draft that
it's
year.
Crazy.
And he was a great college pass rusher. Very, very weird. Wow, Steelers, Russell Wilson, one drive. Fields comes in. Starting off offensive line stayed in, but no Pickens. That says something.
Let's stop right there.
Yeah.
That's when I knew Russell Wilson was a starter. Right, and Russell Wilson, of course, I felt like he had the inside pole position. I get that. But one good series, they scored a touchdown. They're like, only bad things can happen here now from here on out. This is a good thing. Let's end on this note. So that's a first clue. And then Pickens coming out of the game with him, right? If it was a real competition, I would have gone, they'll leave Pickens and Freiermuth out there for Fields too.
You have to, because there's not a lot of other guys.
Right. So they didn't do that. So to me, that showed me like, no, Wilson's, Pickens, Freiermuth, because I don't think he played in the second drive either. Those are their guys, and that's what they're riding with. So Fields, really good backup, but yeah, I expect them to name Russell Wilson the starter at some point this week.
It tells me Wilson will be the starter. Missed wide open touchdown. Fields and center have miscommunication on snap. Doesn't help his case, but Fields has looked good, has made some throws. The Steelers' offensive line still has issues. Not a great summer for Broderick Jones.
No.
After they've been playing
not at all
the Tetris game.
I think the switching must have messed with them.
I think so too.
Right? I mean, ever since he had to go back over to right tackle, it seems like it's thrown him off his game. Like, totally. Right? So Fountaino, him getting back healthy, I think will be important for them. Yeah, the O-line still got questions. I'm a little surprised by it. But at no game did I really look at it and go, they're turning the corner. I feel really good. Still a little too much pressure in the game the other day that we saw there. So, I have questions about that. I I feel the same about the Steelers, if I'm going to answer that all the way, right?
Yep.
I thought I would feel better. I guess that's what I thought. I guess that's where just between the O-line stuff and then the quarterback situation kind of being weird all year, and them not getting another receiver, which I thought they would get at some point during training camp, whether it be Ayuk or whatever. I guess I feel the same about them right now.
They feel like a team that, once again, has to win ugly.
Yeah.
And we know they could do it.
Right.
It's the Steelers.
Right.
It's Mike Tomlin. But it's not what you always want to do if you want to compete for a Super Bowl.
Well, they were one of the teams, like, what I was talking about in the like, you got to give your guys a chance here. Your whole fan base is on your offense and on Arthur Smith. At some point, you got to create some positive vibes for your football team so they go into week one going, hey, we feel pretty good. We don't look like a dysfunctional mess like we did in the preseason, right? So that's where, I think that is a positive thing. And you're right. I mean, this is where you can make the case for either one to play quarterback, because either one can play that ugly defensive style of game. Russell Wilson played on this type of team in the Legion of Boom of Seattle. Hey, we're going to run the ball. We're going to play defense. We'll take a few aggressive shots down the field, and hopefully you can just make a play or two or do that, right? And I think that's what they're going to ride with. Justin Fields does give them a little more playmaking ability. I think they want Justin Fields to be the future too, and I think they probably feel more comfortable about starting Russell and bringing Justin off the bench if they have to, rather than, wait, we start Justin Fields, who we also have plans for in the future. Ooh, it doesn't go well. Now we put Russell Wilson in, and we're in a weird spot with Justin Fields going forward.
I agree with you. I think that's the key. I'll read two Steelers responses. You feel the same. Here's how their fans feel.
Yeah.
JZM3, with the Steelers, I feel better. The defense looks like a top 5-10 unit with depth at both linebacker spots. The only concern would be quarterback and wide receiver.
Yep.
If Russ and Fields are average, they'll probably be a top 5 to 6 seed. Wide receiver is still on hold. Hashtag Ayuk watch. Harry, Ayala season. Steelers, better about the defense, worse about the offense. Broderick Jones seems to be bothered by whatever his arm brace is and says he's not getting healthier. If Troy Fautanu can't be an instant impact, we have two bad offensive tackles. See, some mixed feelings. You had some mixed feelings. Let's go to the Niners.
Right.
I want to get to the Niners today, for better, worse, or the same. Pretty concise notes here, Chris. Jordan Mason ran really well.
Yep.
Love the Niners, but playing starters, Jets on a mission.
Yeah, well, because I just, like, the 49ers, first off, there's no Trent Williams, there's no Brandon Ayuk, there's no McCaffrey.
Pearsall's been really banged up.
Pearsall's been banged up with the shoulder issue. So they've not got a chance to really practice with their real starting ones. So they got to get these guys out there and playing, right? Let alone Brock Purdy had the little problems in camp, and he, was solid against New Orleans, but didn't blow you away. He did some good things and all of that. But I think it gets, again, the Super Bowl taste out of their mouth, all of that. But my biggest thing was the last thing I said there. I mean, this is the coming out party for the Jets. They're ready. This is their chance to be on the national stage, make a statement. Salah's going back to where he came
big
from.
Story.
Right. Rodgers is from California and was a 49ers fan.
Felt like he always wanted to be there.
They're going there going, we're going to show everybody right here. So that's where I like the 49ers playing their guys, because, I think they're, hey, we're at the Super Bowl. We're the 49ers. We're at home, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, the Jets are coming in ready for a fight. And I hope you guys are ready. So that's where I kind of like that element.
Boss Rice Shark said 49ers worse. Ayuk situation. If he leaves, what wide receiver are we getting back? Pearsall injury. Trent Williams situation. Generally worried about our core getting a year older.
Yeah.
God damn Mahomes. God damn him. Are we the equivalent of the Jazz in the Jordan era?
Yeah.
What a great callback. One more here. One Kumar _NFL. 49ers aren't much better. The Jags trading peanuts for Mac Jones seems wiser by the week.
Yeah. Well, I hear you. Now, the 49ers are very good.
That's what people can't lose sight of.
I
This
know.
team is still awesome.
Yes.
And Kyle Shanahan is still awesome.
Exactly right. There's a lot of good. They got a few things, working against them right now, waiting for Hufanga to get healthy. Dre Greenlaw is not going to be ready to start the year, right? The unfortunate thing is, and I don't think it's anything major, Leonard Floyd tweaked his knee in that last preseason game right against the Raiders, and so did Yetur Gross-Matos. But all in all, this is still a really, really damn good football team. There's no doubt about that. The wide receiver thing is an issue, and how could they not be concerned about it a little bit? I don't know where it goes, and if he leaves, what wide receiver are they getting back? That's why. I mean, it seems like Ayuk's cornered them and basically said it's the 49ers or the Steelers.
And they don't have anyone to
and
send
they
back.
don't have anyone to send back. And then, at this point of the year, you and I both know, like, teams don't want to trade one of their top 3 receivers. No. They're trying to sell hope to their fan bases right now, right?
This is not the time of year for that.
Right.
It's why the
So-
Devontae Adams things right now is always a pipe dream. Like maybe at the deadline.
Yes, but not
Antonio
right now.
Pierce isn't signing off on that right now.
Exactly right. He's going, what? Yeah, okay, I get to start my first year ever as a head coach, and you're going to take away my best offensive player? Yeah, thanks a lot.
So the Niners, where did they land for you?
I'm going to say same.
Okay.
I'm going to say same. I'm not going to say it's worse. I'm not going to say that. There's just too much culture there, and there's too much good on that roster. But yeah, those situations keep you from saying better. That's for sure, and that's why you just keep it the same.
I'm still laughing at the goddamn Mahomes.
That's so good.
That's really good.
Seriously.
All right, let's move to the Bucks. Better, worse, or the same. Your notes here, Chris. Jalen McMillan looks real. 81. Ryan Miller looks real.
Well, again, another team that played their starters here in their last preseason game, and I love that, as I've talked about here. Those aren't their starting receivers, right? But I've heard a lot of buzz about Jalen McMillan down in Tampa, right? A lot, and saw him in the game the other night. I think it was the first time I really watched him closely, and I was like, holy crap! I mean, he's just a little bigger and more explosive than I think I gave him credit for coming out of college.
I think he looks so different this summer. 2 years ago at Washington, he was basically the guy.
Right.
Then Rome Odunze took his game to 10 levels higher.
Right.
Jalen Polk became the number 2.
Right.
And then Jalen McMillan was the number 3, and he just never looked right. He was hurt. He looked almost almost too skinny at times for the player he is. And now in summer with the Bucks, he looks like a totally different guy.
Totally different guy.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's like he got a 10th faster on his 40.
Everything.
And he's got, more thickness throughout his body. I mean, impressed by him. And then, the other kid, Ryan Miller, another kid I'd heard buzz about down there, right? And then you turn on the game, and Rondé Barber's announced the game, who's my buddy, and he's like, hey, players to watch, right? And he names him. And you go through the game, and again, not that he's going to be starting. I'm just saying, wow, did he look good? And then I like the Bucks playing their guys, added on top of, you get Baker out there, who I thought looked very good, comfortable. They got a very good offensive line if it's healthy. I think their offensive line can really, really kick some ass. There were some positives there for Tampa Bay overall. And, I think their defense, we know that could be damn good too.
Miller, a converted tight end to wide receiver
That's
from
college.
college.
That's what he looks like, 220-something, I think, right?
Played on the practice squad all last year.
Right.
So they've been trying to develop something in him. We'll
they
see
got
what
something
happens.
going there.
Sloppy Joe Namath said, feeling better about my Bucks now that it seems they hit on their first 3 draft picks. Graham Barton, Tyke Smith, Jalen McMillan are all starters. Pete put a note in here that it seems like Sloppy Joe forgot second-round pick Chris Braswell as well.
Yeah, right.
The Bucks, I mean, listen, it's never perfect since Brady left, but they field a competitive team.
Definitely.
And supplemented through depth of the draft.
Definitely. I think their talent goes, under the radar, honestly, a little bit, right? I mean, they're the one thing you can start with the Bucks is nobody's going to whoop their ass up front on either side of the ball. When they're healthy, they can stand in there against anybody, right? And then they got a few playmakers where you need some playmakers, that's for sure, right? I certainly think they're going to be in the thick of things in the NFC. There's no doubt about that. I look at them in Atlanta as definitely being the 2 teams to watch out for in the NFC South.
All right, G Buzzard Bryce said, still feel that the Bucks will easily win the South. Speaking of that, courtesy of our friends at DraftKings, let's look at the odds to repeat as division champs right now. The Chiefs -260, the Niners -195, and then all plus money from here on out. The Texans +105, the Lions at +130, the Ravens at +145, the Cowboys +170, the Bills down to +195. I know that one has fallen as people have gotten on both the Jets and the Dolphins a little more.
Right.
And then the Bucks have the most value at +320 to win this division. As we know, this division always feels somewhat wide open.
Yeah,
Panthers look better.
Yes, Panthers will be better.
Saints.
I think they'll probably be about what they were last year, honestly.
Spencer Rattler looks good.
He has been very good.
So
There's no doubt.
There's some hope there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Derek Carr, I mean, they got some guys at receiver. If he can play well, maybe they surprise us. I do look at it as the Bucks and the Falcons as being those 2 teams.
Falcons are going to be, like you said, I'm with you all the way.
Yeah, the Falcons have a good football team. I've said to everybody, and this is where I feel bad for Arthur Smith a little, and maybe he's partly to blame here because he wanted this, but they were really good last year. They were good. It's just they had the worst starting quarterback in football. I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, but I really think if I go through it, he was the worst starting quarterback in the league last year. And it's hard, and he cost them games. He really did. They were probably a playoff team last year. So, yeah, if you're looking for value and all that, like the Bucs one is interesting because I think it is just between those two, right? But I think the safest ones are the ones at the top of the list because
for good reason.
Yeah, either West Division is not great, and I don't see any real challenger to the Chiefs. The 49ers, hey, we know the Rams are going to be good, and the Seahawks, I think, will be a pain in the ass, but I still think they're the cream of the crop there.
DraftKings Sportsbook is the #1 place to bet touchdowns, and new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly, plus get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium.
Download the app and use promo code Unbuttoned when you sign up.
DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Well, unfortunately, my time has come. I got to go to my...
Is Barry here? Are we sure?
Can we... Oh,
whoa, yeah, Barry's here?
Sources say he's in the building. I don't buy that.
He
Which
is
desk?
Here.
Makeup desk or the actual studio desk?
I'm shocked. I mean, of all days for him to be on time, it's today is when he picked it. Unbelievable.
Well, Monday starts off pretty good, and then we just slowly work our way down throughout the week. That's how it goes. By Thursday, it's like, we're in trouble.
Get there when I get there.
We're in trouble today.
All right, so Connor's leaving us. He's going to go hit the pec deck.
That's right.
Are we going to wrap this up? Do we want to continue and get through the last few teams? Let's knock through the last few teams. We'll do that.
Before I go, I'll give you one more gift.
Oh, yeah, give me.
The Roto World Fantasy Football Draft Guide is now available exclusively through a new partnership with Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life. Get a Fantasy Life Plus subscription and receive the Roto World Draft Guide plus fantasy, DFS, and betting tools to help you dominate the draft all season long. Use promo code ROTO10 for 10% off. Go to NBCSports.com/fantasylife to learn more. Chris, it's always a blast.
Always, man.
I appreciate it.
You're the man.
I appreciate it.
you.
I'll be back.
Yeah, I know you'll be back. We want you back always. We appreciate the convo. You do a great job hosting the show.
Thanks, man.
Stay on top of your pec deck, okay? And, way to read the Barry Roto World Fantasy Football read as you walk off the show. Mic drop. Okay, mic drop. He's out of here. All right, Connor, you the man, buddy. All right, I'm back. Here we go. Better, worse, or the same. I'll try to handle this as well as Connor did as far as hosting. The next team up, the Carolina Panthers, okay? Carolina Panthers played their starters, right? Buffalo Bills on, I think that was Saturday afternoon. I'm losing track of my days or whatever. It doesn't really matter. But, hey, the big question and what we know with the Panthers, better, worse, the same. Here's what I wrote in my little notes. Bryce Young looks good, definitely more comfortable in the pocket, definitely better mechanics, especially in his base. He does have great natural feel. That's the one thing I've always said about him, right? Even though it was good the other day and all of that, I still don't know if I look at him and go, ooh, what's his one great redeeming trait or talent? I'm not sure there. You know, the arm is kind of average. The speed is, for the modern-day NFL quarterback, about average as well, right? And they were playing against, like, the number 3s and 4s of Buffalo, but nonetheless, the comfort was what I liked. And then I think the decisiveness in how he made decisions, you could tell he knew where he wanted to go with the ball. And I did like his feet a lot better. He had a little bit of a tendency to let his feet get close together when he would get in the pocket or drop back. He definitely was wider base, right, which will lead to a more consistent, smooth motion on the upper part of the body there. So that's what I like. Their defense, hey, Carolina's another team. We know I don't expect world beating. I expect them to be better than last year, but I'm certainly not going to put them in the playoff conversation or anything like that. Defense, good. Yeah, but I don't know how good. I don't know what to think of their defense overall. And I will say it was a little discouraging in the fact that the Bills' third-team offense kind of moved the ball down the field on the Carolina first-team defense and really should have had a touchdown. Ben DiNucci had a wide-open guy in the left part of the end zone and missed him, and it should have been 7-0 right off the bat. But nonetheless, I know they're going to be I'll give Carolina, I feel better, right? I don't know how much better, but the bar was low from last year, and I think that's why I'll say that. You get the Bills, better, worse, the same. I'm going to say the same. I can't say better. I think I still got wide receiver. Who's going to be the playmaker there, right? The 2 tight ends set and all of that. I guess I need to see it a little bit first before we, dive into that conversation there. And then their defense, I still feel the same way about their defense. They're really well coached. They got a lot of good. I don't know if anybody's great. That's the problem. A lot of good. Nobody's great. This really goes through the whole team, in my opinion. Josh Allen is great, but that's the problem with them. It seems like it's a lot of just waiting on Josh Allen's greatness. I don't know. We'll see. I know they're going to be good, but I'm certainly not picking the Bills to win the AFC East this year, which is always scary with Josh Allen, a quarterback. But, yeah, I'm going to just say I feel the same about the Buffalo Bills. Ravens, the only thing we've seen from the Ravens here in the preseason, like Simpson, the new linebacker that's replacing Patrick Queen, right? He's played Trenton Simpson. He's played a lot. He does look good. He looks the part, right? And then Nate Wiggins on the outside. They didn't play a lot of their guys, skill guys, secondary guys for the most part. Nate Wiggins looks phenomenal, like shut down island, awesome corner. They played their offensive line. That was the only thing they played throughout the preseason, because that's definitely the biggest question of their football team, right? So is another team that I'm going to just say same, right? I'm going to say the same because, hey, they didn't give me anything to make me feel better about. And I think there is a legitimate question about, is their offensive line going to be as good as last year? Are they going to be as dominant up front, right? What does their offense look like? Again, Lamar Jackson, does he get even better in the passing game, or do they get back into go, wait, we still should run the ball more than we did last year and all of that? And then losing Patrick Queen in the middle, certainly a big question, even though I like Trenton Simpson. But, yeah, they got a totally different offensive line they're trying to figure out, right? And our man at the OG KTG, the Ravens' backup QB situation is way worse than the Lions or the Jets. Who said you were worried about? Oh, who I said I was worried about. Yes. Okay, so I've talked about some teams that worry about their backup situation. In full transparency, one of the first teams I wrote in this whole thing was the Ravens with Josh Johnson. He kind of had a first game, and I went, he's been around the league. He's done some things, certainly, right? So I think I gave it a benefit of the doubt. I don't think you're crazy with that question, though, that at the OG KTG. I don't think you are, because there is a part of me that goes, it's a veteran football player. He understands preseason. He understands how to manipulate preseason. That's the thing the veterans can do. Stats look good, all that. The coverages are so basic, like we talked about. So those are, I think I understand that. I think it's a worse backup situation than they've had in years past. That's for sure. So we'll see where that goes. But hopefully we don't even have to see the backup. That would be the good thing. Cowboys, better, worse, the same. Worse, yes. I mean, I had questions about the Cowboys, and let alone they didn't play anybody, right? They're making adjustments to the middle part of their defense and trying to get defensive tackles in there, because that's obviously still a problem and a concern for them, right? Now you lose Deron Bland at corner, which is a big deal, right? We just talked about, hey, defensive tackles and issues, size in the middle, linebacker play, right? When you have two great corners in Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland, you can load the box. Hey, we'll play man. We'll take a chance. We'll load the box. We'll help the run game. That takes that ability away a little bit to a degree, let alone he's a playmaker, a guy that gives you possessions, can maybe pick six, do all that stuff. So that doesn't make me feel good. The CeeDee Lamb situation doesn't make me feel good. The Dak Prescott situation doesn't make me feel good. They did lose a lot of players this year, in free agency. Some went with Dan Quinn here or there. I know no big marquee guys, but role players that help your team. And then, we got talk about the backup quarterback situation again there. That's another one. I mean, Trey Lance throwing 5 interceptions in preseason game number 3 is crazy. That's crazy. And it's the quality or lack of quality interceptions that's crazy, right? Not all interceptions are created equal. Like, hey, I'm throwing to a guy, and this guy just got his finger on the ball and tipped the ball in the air, or the ball bounced off my receiver's hands and then those are a lot of ones where you go, I'm not going to blame the quarterback. The interceptions we saw from Trey Lance the other night were all really bad. Like, whether it was bad location, too late throwing the ball, or just not seeing a zone dropping defender are concerning. It's concerning, and they want him to be the backup, but I'm not sure he's better than Cooper Rush. Again, with Trey Lance, great athlete, and I'm not sure can play quarterback. He's an athlete who plays quarterback instead of being a quarterback who's a really good athlete. And that's the questions I got about Trey Lance again as we go forward. But the Cowboys, yeah, I'm going to say worse. They didn't do anything, and they got issues all around, and they're not making me feel warm and cozy. The Browns, better, worse, or the same? Worse. All because of one thing. Super Bowl roster, ready. But the highest paid guy on their football team's the biggest question on their football team. He hasn't played great football since he was in Houston. He hasn't played that much football in general since he's in Houston. And then here we are, all through OTAs, can't practice, can't do anything because of the shoulder injury, being managed through training camp, right? Last week has to sit out a day because of arm soreness. That was concerning to me in general. Man, we're this far along, this late in training camp, and our arm is that sore, so that bothers me a little bit. So I got big questions. And then not to play at all in the preseason, yeah, I think that's a big question mark for me, right? Is why isn't he getting out there? Now, the Browns' early schedule, Pete Rice, is it easy enough to where they feel like they can play defense, manage the game, do all that? I get that. But, man, as much as I just said I don't feel better about Dallas, this is not Dallas like 2-15 walking into town, right? I mean, it's still going to be, Micah Parsons and people like that and all of that there too. And Mike Zimmer is a pretty good defensive coach. But, no, I think in their perfect world, Pete, and I think your question's a good one, they would want to have played Deshaun Watson. They need some positive things with him. They need him to get back on the bike and be able to ride it smoothly, and we just haven't seen that. He's a huge question in the NFL altogether. Okay, next one. Here we go. Am I going to this camera? That's where we want to go. Hey, what's up over here? Camera over here. How you doing? Cardinals, better, worse, or same? I'm going to say better. I don't have a lot of film to say better. I'm just going to go better in the fact of Kyler Murray in the system year 2, Marvin Harrison Jr., reports are all good, right? I think they're going to have a better O-line. I like their offense. Some of their young players, year 2, Trey McBride at tight end, year 3, had an awesome year last year, right? So they got some guys and some people that I think are coming up the ranks. The defense with Jonathan Gannon, I still think maybe they need maybe more playmakers and all of that. But I just think where they are as a franchise, I think makes me feel a little bit better going into year 2. It does suck that Darius Robinson, their defensive lineman, got hurt because I was really excited of what I saw against that game against the Saints. I saw a big physical freak in the middle that was hard to block and get off blocks and be kind of that blue chip guy they need. And then, hey, you listen to defensive players out there in Arizona, they wax poetically about Darius Robinson. They wouldn't do that if they didn't think he was the real deal. So that stinks for them. But I do think the Cardinals will be better. I feel better about them, even though they didn't play very much of their starters in the preseason. Chiefs, next one up. Okay. Better. All right. And I'll read. Well, some of these things were questions. I'm actually going to Kansas City today to interview Patrick Mahomes for the Football Night in America NFL opener on Thursday Night Football next week, Ravens-Chiefs. So I actually have some questions in here for Mahomes, so I'm not going to read those out, okay? But I got another question from @BobLeeLong, Chiefs fan, and I feel all three. Better about the offense, worse about this defense, but still think they are the team to beat. You got to feel good about the offense. Mahomes playing, all good, right? The receivers definitely look better. I'd feel even better if Marquise Hollywood Brown was out there, but he's not. Okay, they'll manage. Rashee Rice is going to be out there by all due accounts right now. I think that's a positive. The O-line looks really good. Jawan Taylor looks good, and the Suamatia from BYU looks really good. I don't understand what our concern is on the defensive side of the ball. I'm guessing that this question is more rooted into, from Bob Lee Long, of the no L'Jarius Sneed, maybe. I'm guessing that's what he's worried about, but I don't think you got to worry about it. I think there's a lot of good secondary players, and with this coach there, Spagnuolo on the defensive side of the ball, you should feel better, okay? John Ardell, major Chiefs fan, I'm slightly unsettled with our receivers. Less so with our secondary. That being said, I think that goes back to the defensive question from Bob Lee Long, as he's just worried about the secondary and probably no L'Jarius Sneed. That being said, I should have reservations about a three-peat, but as hard as I try to worry, I know we've got Mahomes. I hear that. And I've said to people, and I talk about it a lot, hey, I do think this is a team that's on a mission. This is only the second time in my life I'm going to be able to see a team that's got a chance to go for the three-peat, right? The first one would be the 88-89 49ers, who made it to the 90 NFC Championship game. We're probably better than my dad's Giants 90s team. But Giants played great game that day, caused some turnovers, physical, made the game ugly. They won it, right? Stopped the three-peat. The other one, the other chance at the three-peat was the Cowboys, and a little bit like we just talked about with the 49ers, right? 1-2, 92, 93, 94, go to the NFC Championship game, go to San Francisco, make some bad turnovers early in the game, put themselves in a hole, and against a team that I think they were probably better than that 49ers team, but didn't get it done. This is where I think Mahomes will keep the Chiefs extremely motivated, and Chris Jones and Travis Kelce. They know they got something special. Hey, we might not get to 7 like Brady and the Patriots, but we got 4, and you never won 3 in a row. None of you out there. So they can separate themselves there. I think that is a driving factor, let alone we know this team wants to be great. I don't think you need to worry about the receiver situation. I think there's plenty to go around there, and we've made improvements, and you'll feel a lot better when Hollywood Brown gets back healthy. The secondary is going to be fine. All right? Now, on fantasy season just got better this season. $1 million better. That's right, $1 million better. Create or join a private Yahoo Fantasy League and enter the $1 million NBC sweepstakes. Plus, earn extra entries to win when players on your fantasy roster score a touchdown during an opening weekend game on NBC or Peacock. Download the redesigned Yahoo Fantasy app or go to NBCSports.com/fantasymillion to learn more. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that. Hey, one more thing. Just want to tell you guys, because I'm a big baseball fan. Watch Aaron Judge. He's kind of awesome, all right? Aaron Judge is one of the greatest hitters ever. I put that in my football notes, and they put that in the rundown because Pete's my guy, and he just takes what I do and puts it in there, and I appreciate that. Gave me a little Mets fan, letting me have a little Yankees love. All right, everybody, you know where to find us. We'll be back Wednesday. We're not going to be doing a normal pod. Like I told you, going to Kansas City, I think we're going to drop the Mahomes interview, all right? So you'll have that Wednesday at some point. Me and my homies in Kansas City getting ready for week 1. Next week, no pod on Monday with Labor Day. We know that. But Tuesday, we will be here. Predictions pod, who's going to win the division, Super Bowl winners, all the good stuff. Subscribe, rate, review. You know where to find us. And Ahmed will be here. So it's going to be a great show next Tuesday. You know where to find us. Subscribe, rate, and review. Okay, everybody be good. Enjoy Labor Day weekend. Our last weekend without NFL regular season football. Be good out there. Be safe. Peace out. Clap it up. Yo, what's up? Thanks for watching, homies. You know it's the off-season, but there's no off-season with Chris Simms Unbuttoned. It's the NFL. It goes all year around, all right? So hit subscribe, please, to hear my thoughts on your favorite team, your favorite quarterback, and, hey, how this season might unfold as we get ready for the 2024 season. We got a better picture, clearer look now that the draft is over, free agency. We know who's playing quarterback for certain teams. So, again, thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe. Peace out, homies. Check you out soon.